Good morning. Hand today's aces. We're under the gun, and like yesterday's, we have a pretty standard under the gun opening range. I do take out 2s, 3s, and 4s when we're under the gun, just because they're a little bit harder to play, make it a slightly tighter range. I do have some loose passes behind me. This player is called 2-bets 48% of the time. This player's only 20%, so he's probably more limping behind, and he is actually calling bets. Blinds, I know quite a bit. This guy's a tight player, tight passive slash aggressive, kind of in the midpoint there, at playing 14-7. This player has some looseness. Slight aggressive tendencies on this player, but I'm not going to be too worried about him. So I do raise 3 big blinds, and we get a relative unknown that is called, this unknown is called 38% of the time. Or he's playing 38-8 over 13 hands, so it's kind of hard to judge what he's gonna be playing. But we're gonna set up a range, which is often a calling range, something like this. Let's leave those king nines. We are under the gun, so I think we're going to make him a little bit tighter. Maybe something just like that. Leave the suited aces, because I do see a lot of players play the suited aces. And we go to a flop. So he's got 16% of hands. He has 214 combos. I'm looking at just about 11%. Oops. Let's get that. Here, 10.9 with 144 combos. See a flop of 9-7-3. Now, overall, that hits the caller's range more than it hits my pre-flop raise range, especially from being under the gun. Now, we do have hands that would hit that range. Top pair with backdoor straight draw. We've got maybe mid pair with backdoor straight draw. We do have our flushes that we can hit. So trips that we can hit, so trip 7s, trip 9s. We do have the wheel, backdoor wheel draw, but that would kind of be hard to play. So on this board, we do have to recognize that a lot of times we're gonna miss, but our caller's going to hit. So what do? We need to get some value. I do think this is a board that's going to get a lot of calls. I'm not sure if we have an aggressive player. If we look at, let's see here, his stat, this float stat, if it is like 75%, this would be a great spot to check and possibly even check raise with a hand as strong as aces. Get his bet in now, because if we bet, he might just say, heck with it, I'm going to fold, especially if he has a hand like Jack Queen, Queen King. Those are all calling ranges. So what do? I bet like 2/3, which might be a little large, especially versus an unknown. It really puts pressure, starts to narrow his range, but at the same time, I kind of think you would do this. It kind of mix up your game. You can't really bet half pot all the time. I think on a board like this, you bet 5, it representing, hey, I want you to fold. And against a tricky player, he may actually, raise at this point, may raise up to 15 or 20, and that actually gets us pretty good, because it could get us all in. Now, he is short stacked. He's got 31.3, so I'm possibly thinking at this point that if I bet 5, he calls, it's 25. I may set up a turn over bet shove on a non-heart card. So what would I do that with, considering a stack? I think we're going to be doing it with the set, with 7s and 9s. We're hoping that he hits something and that he'll just, shove with his heart draw. I think our overpairs are probably going to be doing that. I don't think we're going to bet that as much with our top pair or with any of these. I think there's value in betting our top pair hands, 10, 9, 9, 8, and also with like pocket eights. But I think for five big blinds, if we get raised, we're going to have to fold those. Whereas if we get raised with our overpairs, we could conceivably call, because he might do this with a top pair himself, with like a 9, 10, 9, 8 type hand. I think our flush draws. Would we do it with all of them? I think it would make more sense to do it with only our ace of hearts. Because when we have our nut flush draw, it makes it less likely that he has a heart draw. But even then, I think what's going to happen is that we're going to get we're polarizing our range big time, and I don't think we're going to have the flush draw. We're betting this large so that if he raises, we're going to be folding. We're going to be able to fold some stuff. So I think our flush draws, we're going to be betting a little bit smaller, which allows us then to call if he raises. And especially with the heart, we don't want to bet that large with ace king, ace queen with the heart, because it's not likely that I think if he raises, I don't think he's going to raise with a flush draw without that ace of hearts. So I kind of think with the flush draw, if we had ace king, ace queen, that's going to be more balanced with these ranges, probably. But let's go ahead and add them in. I think our gut shot's going to be one in which we bet that large, and then I think our 2-card backdoor flush draws, we're going to be betting these just as a pure bluff with overcards. 9, 10, 9. No. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to be doing. There we go. All right, 2-card backdoor flush draws. So you can see we're betting much larger. And then our overcards, I think we're going to be doing ace king, ace queen. Ace king, but not all of them. We're only going to be doing it, betting that when we have the ace of hearts. So ace of hearts, king, ace of hearts, queen. I think that's going to be our betting range here. And we do that because we block the nut flush draw at that point. And if he folds, hey, that's great. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get those selected properly. That's going to be my betting range. He does call instead of raising. So what is he doing that with? I think a set probably calls and then looks to shove. On the turn, I think overpair looks to do the same thing. I think top pair probably. I think these middle pairs probably call. See what's going to happen. Not sure about pocket pair below the second card. I'm going to say he does 4, 5, 6. Maybe even bottom pair because he'll have ace queen or ace 3. I think he calls with his flush draw, open enders. I don't think he's calling with the gut shot. And then your combo draw. So I think he's calling with that range. So he's calling 45.5%. He's got 90 combos. And I think he probably calls the same with no matter if we bet half pot or like we did, like 2/3, 3/4 pot. I think he's going to call with the same range. So with our better hands, stronger hands, I think we can bet larger to kind of get more money into that pot. Now, as played, I didn't know if he's going to be calling that. if he is flexible. I mean, he's an unknown, so maybe I got lucky, by betting correctly on this hand. So we have 57 combos. All right. Turn was a 9 of clubs. And the only hand we are really concerned with are those 3 of a kind now. That's the only concern, but you can see that it actually represents a pretty small percentage of his hands. So, and at this point, we're kind of committed. So, I think if we bet, we want to get in. Question is, if we overbet the pot, what is he going to come along with? Would he call with an overpair? Would he call with 10s, jacks, queens? Would he call with? He definitely call with 3 of a kind, full house. I mean, he's definitely calling with those. Would he call with his flush draws though? And I'm not sure if he's going to do that. Versus an unknown, I don't think I would. But since he only has 26.3, I do think our play should be to shove, put them all in, and I think we're going to be putting him all in with quads, full house, our overpairs, and then I think our flushes, our flush draws. So let's get that. So that would be my overbet shove range, and that's what I should do. And I didn't do that. I bet half pot, which I don't really like that size. I mean, if we had quads or full house, yeah, it kind of. I think it doesn't make sense. If we're betting, we're betting to kind of make it look like, hey, we want you to fold. We've got a hand, and we protect our flushes by having some of these good hands, and it makes him guess because he could say, does he really have that ace of hearts or not? And he shoves. So I think I'm gonna go with this. I think our bet sizing's off though. He 3-bets. Or not 3-bet, he raises us, so I'm going to say he raises quads, full house, 3 of a kind, and overpair. I don't think he'll do it with 8s. I mean, maybe he could, but I think he's going to do it with his draws, and maybe with his straight draws too. So we'll say he does that with that kind of range. Once he raises, what do? I do think we're going to be calling with all of our pair. We need 25% equity, so we're getting 3-1. 3-1 on our call. We're not really getting the odds to call to our flushes. So on this board, you hate. I mean, there's no implied odds with this at all. We have to call 16, maybe 16 to win 52. So yeah, it's about 3-1. We need 4-1 to chase, so technically we should not be doing it with any of those draws. And I do think we're going to be calling with overpair plus. So let's do this. That's our turn. End up calling. Oops, that is 61.8%. It has 34 combos. Their range. 62.4. They've got 53 combos. You can see that I am so far ahead. King of Spades comes out. We are all in. How does that affect it? I don't think that drastically affects any hand. Yeah, it gives him a pair now. If he does this with his King of Hearts, suited kings, but I think we're still ahead. So I show aces. He shows queens. Is that in his range? Yeah, it is. I had that pocket pair below the second card, so it's consistent with how he would play it. I think if we overbet shove, he does call at that point. So maybe it worked out because the half pot size we sized down, and then now it looks like we're scared. and it allows him to overbet shove. But I think that puts us at a difficult decision, and it doesn't really allow us to make that play with our flush draws. So I think if we overbet shove, we play with our flush draws. Yeah, if we had those hearts, we'd lose. Um, let's go back here. Um, so we would have had king queen, uh, and backdoor flush draw. We could have improved with that, but I think my mistake here was that turn we should have overbet shove. All right, if you like this, look tomorrow for another hand.